All right, so in this video we're going to take a quick look at the Gridwarper in Nuke. And so we're going to start off with an image of a car here, an old car. And what we're going to do is go ahead and add a Gridwarp node. And I'll just tab into that one and type Gridwarp. And we get this. So straight off the bat, if we begin moving these keys, we can see that the warping we get right away. And you know, there is maybe a tendency to just work with this as is, trying to warp your way into your solution by working with it out here. But there's a much better way, all right? And what we want to do is really fit it to the car first and then move there. So we're going to do a couple things. First thing we're going to do is we're going to output just our source. We don't want to be looking at warped things right now, right? So we can look at the source warped, and you notice we have two grids. We have a source grid and a destination grid. And the way to think about this is the source grid defines the image that's going to be warped, and the destination grid is where those portions of images get warped to. So in this case, you know, they're the same, and we're looking right now at the destination grid. I can turn them both on and maybe lock this one. So you can see that if I move this down here, we should be seeing that warped. Yeah, sometimes it just needs a little reset to get going there. So you can see that as I'm pulling this down, you know, we're just basically squeezing the pixels in this zone together. Right now, it's a pretty awesome effect. But you know, if we wanted to warp this car, we would want a little bit more control. So what we want to do is set ourselves up to make this a little bit easier. So I'm going to first reshape this. Let's turn off our destination grid, turn on our source grid, and I'm just going to look at the source. I don't want to look at this warping action right off the bat, right? So the first thing I want to do is sort of I want to get an outline of my car, and I think I'm going to work with 5 divisions as it is here. In fact, what I can do is I can actually bump it down lower, and I can always bump it up and then fix it. And so sometimes this is pretty good. For this is a pretty boxy situation. So I know I'm going to want one here. And you notice now that this isn't warping at all. Just come in here and fix these things. And I can have the same tools here. I can cusp this. And I can smooth it if I want to. And I can break the tangents by holding down my command key on my Mac keyboard. So I'm going to get in close, and I'm just going to align this here. And I know I definitely want this to be coming down here. And I'll bring this back here. So just working this into place as such. And I'm gonna kind of forego perfection here, but you know, you get the idea. So I'm gonna just quickly line this up, and then we can move on. So I'll get this moving down here. This can come in at this corner. Slide this down. And I want to just rough it into the bottom here. So this guy will just come in. I think what I want to do is just pull the top up to make this a little bit more of a cartoony car. And one last one. Okay, come out. And I'm just going to take these and line them up right down the center line. So I've got something I understand here. There we go. That's a better fit. So we'll work with that. Now, Now, like I said, I can always increase the resolution if I wanted to. So I've got my rough layout here. I'm going to bump this back up to 5, and I'll say yes. And you'll see that this kind of relays out a grid in here, and I can just come in and do a couple quick repairs to make sure that that it all makes sense in my mind where these go. And I'm just going to call this pretty good. All right, just make sure we're not too strange here. There we go. We are going to have some oddities in this one because of how I went about it. And we can grab multiples at once, pick them up, slide them down. And ultimately, we're just looking for, let's see, get in there. Can you give me that handle? There it is. Pull that handle out. All right. So enough futzing around. We get the idea. And we have our handles. All right. So now if we were to then switch this over to source warped, you'd notice that we are taking that warp and we're stretching it to the full size of our canvas, right? Because our source grid is like this. And if we were to reposition these back to the destination grid and maintain their imagery inside, we get this source warp like this. So what we really want to do is we're going to use this key copy here. It says copy key from our source grid, so we'll copy it. And that has stored our source grid positions into our clipboard. And then over here we have paste. And I'm just going to paste it right into the destination grid. And now, because the grids match, we have a common thing that we can use to animate or to reposition, right? And so we can pick up these top grid points, and we can lift up the roof of our car, pick up these bottom ones, lift these up, and you know, if our positioning was all well and good, this would be, you know, this would be how you do it. So all in all, that's really how you want to go about working on your grids. You want to get them into place first, align them around the object you want to work with, copy, paste, and then you can work with your grids, right? And we can animate these to our heart's content. I can set a key here. Oh, let's see, set key selected. And I can always go back and say, oh, I wanted to copy, paste, and now I've got a little animation here with my car popping up. So that is how that's the basics. You know, the couple other little adjustments you have here are your output. You'll notice that we're just pulling these right on top of our background image, which is really handy. You know, we can always do it on black so that it is clean. We can put on anything we want, or back on top of the source. We have our channel options. Standard transform is just for the entire grid, moving that around. And of course, different levels of filtration and things of that sort. So that is it in a nutshell. The really big important stuff, like I said, is the repositioning your source grid, and then copy paste it into your destination. And it's best to, you know, pick your source to look at that, because that'll just give you your unwarped image, and you can reposition everything without too much trouble. Although I will say there are times when repositioning it and seeing that kind of slide into place is helpful as well. So you have to pick your workflow that works for you. So that's Gridwarps and Nuke, and I hope that's helpful. All right, thank you.